doesn't matter how old you are, where you're at in the world, what you're doing. This book is easily hands down the most important book that you can read just to change your life, to change your mindset all around. Regardless if you get into entrepreneurship or whether you want to get in self-improvement, it doesn't matter. This book gives you clarity on everything you need to know. And that book is called Unscripted by DeMarco. Now, I realize that I talked about this book quite a lot recently. There are different levels to this book, especially pillars within the book that describe the script and the unscripted life. The script pretty much entails the whole idea of the Matrix. It's the more popularized term by Andrew Tate. Now, this book came out in, I believe, 2016, 2017. And the reason why it's so important is because it foretells everything going on today, and it's applicable towards 100 years ago, applicable towards 10 years ago, and the author doesn't bullshit you either. MJ DeMarco is an author and entrepreneur. He created the Millionaire Fastlane, which is something that a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs read, or at least have read. But Unscripted talks about the whole escaping this script that is proposed on you. Now, the script, it's this idea that you got to go to school, you got to sit down for 8 hours a day in school, learn stuff that you don't need to know really, and sit in college, go to college, even to begin with, and then all of a sudden work a job you don't like for 40 years just for a salary that is just enough to get you by, and hopes that compound interest will carry your life away at 65, if you even make it to 65. It tells you the cornerstone of what you need to do to create value within the market, to propel yourself, and to just be rich 30, because to be quite honest, there's no rich 30-year-olds who have made it off the market. I mean, you could probably think of Sam Bankman-Fried or whatever his name is, FTX guy, but obviously that was a sham. So in one of my other videos, I talked about FDEs, fuck that events. Now, the whole purpose of a fuck that event is a moment of epiphany, realization that you've had enough. You've already had enough of this bullshit, and you're ready for the betterment of success. You know you're better, and you can do better. You've essentially reached a midlife crisis, or the event where you're willing to do anything and everything to just achieve greatness and escape shit. Past FTEs goes into another pillar called the 3 Bs: beliefs, biases, and bullshit. The first B is beliefs. The whole idea of the 8 beliefs that I'm about to discuss is not all about entrepreneurship, although it is great. It's just everything that pertains to life and the lies that have been told to you by your parents, the government, your teachers, you name it, even your siblings, your best friends. And I found that there was no articles or no websites online talking about the 8 beliefs. So I figured I'd make a video on it to just raise more awareness, keep everybody in mind of what these are. So here are the 8 beliefs right there. I'm going to explain each one in about a minute in length. I definitely recommend you read the chapters, the 8 chapters, instead of listening to a guy on the internet talk about it. But hopefully this intrigues you enough to pick up the book to read it, because it's a long freaking book, but it's worth it. So I got my 8 beliefs that I wrote down in here. So belief number 1, or at least a lie, the first lie that I want to talk about, is the shortcut scam. Now, the shortcut scam entails this idea that events make up 99% of pretty much what's presented, and progress is the 1%, right? So, for example, all you hear all the time is the big celebrations, the gold medals from the Olympians, the Rookie of the Year award for the NBA, the millionaire who just acquired those millions for selling his company. But they don't tell you them staying up late nights or even waking up at 5 a.m., mastering their craft day in and day out, saying no to family events, saying no to friends, adhering to a strict diet, adhering to strict bedtimes. You know, they don't show that because that doesn't grab eyes. That does not grab eyes. They only show the stuff that is the shininess, the celebrations, everyone looking toward that person is in a sense of the celebration. They don't show you the hard work put into it. It also dives into this idea that you can't fall in love with the event. You have to fall in love with the process. Falling in love with the process should naturally lead up to the events. This ties into another concept that I talked about, which is outcome independence. You can't be dependent on the outcome, because if you're dependent on the outcome, you're going to get bored of the process, you're going to get overwhelmed, or you're just going to see, oh wow, this event hasn't happened yet, even though I've been working. What's going on? You're going to get discouraged, and even then the event is not guaranteed. So you latch onto this unguaranteed outcome, and when you don't get it, you're disappointed. You have to fall in love with the process, and instead reject what the media and everything else throws upon you of this idea that the celebrations are the only thing that happens. There's no work involved. Belief number 2, or lie number 2, is the special scam. I'm not good at that. So this ties into the idea of I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to try. It also ties into the idea of putting labels on yourself and self-identity to that label, in the sense of, for example, I lift weights, I want to get bigger, I want to get stronger. I say I bodybuild, I'm a bodybuilder. In a sense, it kind of implicitly ties me to this diet, ties me to making sure I get to bed on time every night, ties me into making sure I'm drinking enough water. Right? So it talks about this kid who everyone else imposed this label on him for being a chess prodigy, and he didn't want to be the only thing known for that because he knew he was more expendable. So he eventually, I believe he got a black belt in Tai Chi. If you're not good at something, work at it. You don't get good at something 1 hour of doing it. You get good at something after doing the same thing for 2,000 hours. This also ties into the idea that you can't be good at everything. So just be good at one thing or two things. If you try to be good at everything, you're going to be good at nothing. That's all it really ties into. Belief number 3 is a consumption scam. How much time did I spend on that? Consumer 99% versus the producer 1%. This ties into the idea of producerism. Produce content, for example. Produce value. Produce something that is worth something. I definitely believe that idea ties or speaks for itself, because you're either creating or you're consuming. You're watching this video right now, so that kind of ties into my point. Just like how there may be thousands of creators on this platform, but there are millions, if not billions, of watchers. If you want to differentiate yourself from the rest of the people in a sense of creating value, you should do the things you do to give, not get. Right? That's kind of why I switched up my style of content a while back, because I realized I was doing it to get, not give. But less about me, more about the whole consumer scam. Pick up the phone, make your first phone call for a cold call for a sale. Doesn't matter. And another very valid point of this chapter, this belief, is that you have to produce more than what you consume. If you expend your consumption more than what you produce, that's how you end up in debt, and you end up a slave to the system. I'm not saying live below your means, because that ties into a next belief or another belief. So belief number 4 is the money scam. I can get rich by wanting to. Money 99% versus value. This does not tie into the last point, but it's kind of separate, but I want to talk about it. The whole idea that you need to chase creating value in a market where there is value to be found or value to be created. So don't get into a oversaturated market. Don't sell trinkets from Alibaba or on Amazon or dropship, all that crap. You have to actually create a value that is of meaning. Make sure that your actual value of your product or your service or whatever you're selling aligns with the perceived value. Because if you sell the customer or the person this perceived value of something greater than the actual value, it tarnishes your reputation. And also, it goes against, it at least should go against your morals and your ethics. Because why would you want to scam people for money? Selling shitty products on fucking Amazon and Alibaba or whatever, just to make money. You want to create value. MJ DeMarco references money as value vouchers. It's not about what you can get, it's about what you can give. Belief number 5 is the poverty scam. I'm poor because you're rich. The selfish 99% versus the selfless 1%. Everybody wants to look at these CEOs like they're the villains, like they're the menaces of society. They're selfish, they're greedy, just plain right evil, which is simply not the case for the most part. So I get it. There's a lot of corruption in America and the world, for matter of fact. But you have to understand that these billionaires, these CEOs, they've created a lot of value for our lives. They've created jobs. They've created sources of comfortability, easement, right? You hate Jeff Bezos, but you love that you get your Amazon Prime package the day after you order. There's a bit of hypocrisy in that. No, there is hypocrisy in that. What is it? You gotta make your mind up. Come on. Moving on to belief number 6 is the luck scam. You don't play, you don't win. This ties into the idea that you gotta put yourself out there. Probability is in your favor the more you try. Nothing in life comes easy. One-hit wonders, they tend to fade because they think they've got it figured out. They don't. So make sure that you put yourself out there to increase your probability of becoming successful, rather than sitting back and hoping that you get hit by a car to claim insurance or whatever, or hoping that you slip on the wet floor that doesn't have the wet floor sign. That's ridiculous. Or hoping that you win the lottery. No. Put yourself out there, and the more you put yourself out there, the more likely you are to hit jackpot, create value, and also get a return on the market that shows that your value means something. Belief number 7. The frugality scam. Live poor, die rich. Defense 99%, offense 1%. This ties into the idea that, oh, if I save money $5 a week by not going to Starbucks and making my coffee at home, I'm going to get rich. That's not the case. And this is something that he references in the book, MJ DeMarco. I can tell you, there are finance YouTubers who will try to sell you that junk. It's not about buying the $5 coffee. It's about increasing your income to begin with. Because if you really think a $5 coffee over the span of once a week for 52 weeks is going to save you much. Maybe $2,500, which is a pretty penny, but you're not going to become a millionaire overnight for that. You got to, in turn, increase your income. And you do that by controllable unlimited leverage, CUL. And lastly, belief number 8, the compound interest scam. Wall Street ain't making you rich. The economy is wealth 99% versus income 1%. Wealth is all that matters in the sense of you're not going to get rich from the markets. It's very unlikely, and although there are many trends and many graphs telling you about that, MJ kind of talks about it in an interesting manner, to say the least. It's hard to describe this chapter because there's so much going on in it, but it tells you everything of why compound interest is not the best idea, mainly because there's a trifecta of time, reality, and inflation. Now, dead millionaires tell no jokes. That's something that he talks about in the time aspect of this chapter of, yeah, like you could be rich when you're 65, but 65 is not guaranteed. And it doesn't account for reality and inflation. When it comes to reality, it doesn't account for the fear of the investor as well as the greed of the investor. It also doesn't account for the fact that people tend to start investing when they're 18 years old. That's not the case. Think about it. If you're over the age of 18 or if you are 18 right now, you're probably in debt from college and you probably have no capital to your name because there's not many jobs you can get with your experience, right? Moving on to the inflation aspect of it. You can't really outrun inflation. Again, you just have to read this chapter because it talks more about that. You also have to be very careful where you see the sources of these charts, for example, of, get rich this way, and it's probably some investment firm that doesn't necessarily have your best interest. But anyways, with that being said, check out Unscripted by DeMarco. If you want to pick up a copy, go check out Amazon or go check out his website. Doesn't necessarily matter. With that being said, I'm Stan, and I appreciate your time.
She asked me, what do we do? I don't know, I guess I fucking hate you now. You had my heart and it escaped somehow.
What's up, Dad?
Oh, I could. Are you recording?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.